Millionaire goes undercover as a cleaner to find the mother for his child. You won't believe what happens next. Jake Thompson, a self-made millionaire at 38, was used to the finer things in life: luxury cars, fine dining, lavish parties. But none of that meant anything now. After losing his wife, the world felt shattered. He didn't know how to comfort his 8-year-old daughter, Emily, when she'd hug him tightly at night, tears on her cheeks. The aching silence in their house echoed louder than any dollar amount could drown out. He often stared at the wall, lamenting how wealth couldn't buy the maternal love they so desperately needed. Consumed by guilt and a desire to heal, Jake took an unusual step. He decided to disguise himself and take a job as a cleaner at a local community center, a spirited place bustling with families striving to build a better life. It was a far cry from his penthouse in Chicago, but maybe amidst the vibrant chaos, he could learn what true love and sacrifice looked like. As Jake donned the faded blue uniform, he felt like a ghost. But he watched closely. The center was alive with laughter and energy, the laughter of children chasing each other, the sounds of mothers rallying together, working against the odds. Here he met Maria, a resilient 30-year-old single mother of 2. She wore her struggles like a badge, shifting between fierce determination and gentle affection for her kids. Jake felt an unexpected connection to her. It was the first time in months that he saw someone fight for love. Her sacrifices illuminated his privilege. He had everything, yet felt so empty. Each day, his admiration grew. Maria shared stories during their brief chats how she woke up before dawn to juggle multiple jobs, always making sure her little ones were fed before she even fed herself. A lump formed in his throat watching her. He discovered more than he expected in this whirlwind of daily lives, each tied together by an unbreakable thread of love, hope, and sometimes, desperation. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. Just as Jake began to feel at home in this new role, a storm brewed over the community center when rumors flew that funding might be cut. The mothers relied on this place, using the resources to gain a foothold for their children's future. Jake's heart raced. This wasn't just an opportunity to observe, it was a chance to fight alongside the women who inspired him. He started organizing petitions, rallying the community, urging them to stand firm. Amid the turmoil, Jake discovered Maria was in imminent danger of losing custody of her children due to financial hardships. A fire ignited inside him. Here he was, cloaked in anonymity, yet he could make it all disappear with a snap of his fingers. But at what cost? Did he dare reveal his identity for a quick fix, or allow the community to find its strength? He felt torn, his heart screaming for justice but his mind wrestling with the privilege that could alter everything. As the stakes rose, Jake stood on the brink, facing not just a decision, but the chance to redefine himself and the lives of those around him. Would he step forward, or would he remain in the shadows from where he could learn? A question hung heavy in the air: could love defy wealth, or would the divide tear them apart even further? The sun rose with a fierce orange glow, illuminating the dusty windows of the community center. Jake could feel a sense of urgency in the air, as if the world outside was whispering to him to take action. Today felt crucial more than any other day since he donned this disguise. His heart raced as he pushed open the center's door. The chatter, the laughter, it all seemed a bit more muted today, overshadowed by the looming threat of funding cuts that he spotted Maria, tangled in the everyday dance of motherhood, her 2 children clamoring for her attention. The sight broke his heart and fueled a rising anger inside. She was a warrior juggling tasks with one hand while fumbling for the snacks with the other. Jake admired her more than he cared to admit. He walked over, adopting a casual expression, though he could feel his insides churning. "Hey, Maria," Jake greeted lightly, though his voice quivered. "Need a hand?" Her eyes flickered with surprise, then softened with gratitude. Are you trying to distract me from the fact that I'm about to lose my mind? Because it's kinda working, she chuckled, shaking her head. He joined her, helping organize toys strewn across the floor, while his mind buzzed with thoughts. He wondered if she had any idea how close she was to losing everything that meant the most to her. It felt like a ticking clock, and the weight of the decision clung to him. As he worked, the community around them began to converge. Moms shared stories, lifting each other's spirits amidst adversity. Their laughter rang through the air like music. Jake soaked it in, but he couldn't ignore the underlying tension, the uncertainty looming over every conversation like a dark cloud. Jake, Maria's voice broke through his thoughts. Can I ask you something? Of course, he replied, watching as her fingers played nervously with the hem of her shirt. I've been thinking a lot about the funding situation, she started, her brows furrowing. What if we rallied together? Show them we're not going to back down without a fight. His heart swelled. That fire he saw in her eyes reminded him of the long-buried hope he had for a better future for Emily. You're right. If we come together, if we show them how much this place means. Before he could finish, they were interrupted. A mother stomped in, her eyes blazing. I heard they're going to announce funding cuts at the meeting tonight, she spat. The room fell silent, tension crawling back into the atmosphere as it absorbed her words. Jake held his breath. The meeting. It was now or never. With a strong urge to protect the community and specifically, to protect Maria and her children, he stepped forward, a plan forming rapidly in his mind. I'll speak, he said, voice steady. They need to hear us. They need to see that we're not just statistics. We are families. We are lives. Maria stared at him, her expression a mix of surprise and something deeper, trust. Are you sure? She whispered, almost in disbelief. More than ever, he replied, feeling the adrenaline firing through him like never before. The silence in the room shifted to a murmur of agreement, the passionate fire igniting around them. This wasn't just about a community center anymore. It was about rebuilding families, hope, and maybe even love. As the group mobilized, Jake's resolve grew. He felt a part of something bigger. But with every step he took, a nagging fear rested in the back of his mind. What if he was found out? What if his true identity as a millionaire was uncovered? In that moment, courage and doubt warred within him. He took a deep breath, reminding himself that the fight was worth everything if it meant protecting the families of this community. Would he find strength not only to face the meeting but to reveal the truth about himself when the time came? As they prepared to face the impending battle, Jake couldn't shake one lingering question: would his disguise shatter the newfound connections he had forged, or would his vulnerability become a bridge to a future he never dreamed possible? Jake stood in the center, adrenaline coursing through his veins. The room buzzed with chatter, voices rallying around one shared mission: to protect the lifeline that was their community center. He glanced around, soaking in the nervous energy. Each face reflected hope mixed with fear, a cocktail of emotions that swirled thick in the air. They formed a small circle, each member sharing their thoughts, their pain, their determination. Maria stood right beside him, her voice ringing clear and strong. We're not just a place to drop off kids. We're a family. These cuts would tear us apart. Her words ignited a fire in the room, a chorus of nods and murmurs of agreement swelling until it felt as if the walls themselves quivered with an impending storm. Jake felt his heart squeeze tightly. They looked to him. I can't let them down, he thought. Not now. He knew he had to make it personal. He had to bridge the gap between their struggle and the cold numbers that determined funding. Just then, an older gentleman, Mr. Thompson, his face lined with years of worry, stood up as his frail hands trembled. We have to talk about what this place has done for our kids, he said, eyes narrowing like an arrow aimed at a target. My grandson learned how to read right here. It's more than a building, it's a lifeline. The room erupted with voices, stories pouring out as parents recalled the moments the center had transformed lives. Kicking off the memories was powerful. They weren't about to be just another statistic on a bottom line. It was about real children, laughter echoing in hallways, and dreams nurtured in classrooms. That's it, Jake thought, heart quickening as he felt his plan take shape. But how do I connect this to the funding board? The meeting is now only hours away. Can I count on each one of you? He asked. If we share our stories tonight, make our realness known, they won't be able to turn us away. Faces brightened. A mother with a worried frown, someone who barely spoke, now found courage in the echo of the words. Yes. She said. I'll share my story about how my kids found a sense of belonging in this community. It made all the difference. The spirit of momentum pushed through the circle, conversations overlapping like layers of concern turning to resolve. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders, but alongside that weight was a sense of purpose driving him forward. As evening approached, Jake's phone buzzed against the table. He glanced down to see a notification from the funding organization confirming a time for the meeting. His stomach dropped. It was time to face the board, and his true identity as a millionaire hung precariously in balance. Stay calm, he whispered to himself, shadows of mixed emotions filling his mind. Would they accept his input? What if they sensed his true identity? Would they see him as one of them or just a wealthy outsider playing dress-up? Before he could spiral further into anxiety, Maria gently nudged his arm. We're going to do this together, right? She asked, her eyes filled with unwavering trust and determination. Together, he replied, a lump forming in his throat. Jake realized then that it wasn't only about him anymore. It was about every life intertwined in that space, every child who walked through those doors. With each passing minute, they gathered their courage, energized by the stories that resonated in their hearts. They reminded one another that they were not just fighting for a building, but for a home. As they stood together, ready to face the looming meeting, a single thought pierced through Jake's mind like a bolt. What if revealing myself opens the door to a greater bond or completely breaks this fragile trust? The question haunted him as they readied to leave the center, but the raw determination in Maria's gaze grounded him. As they stepped into the cool evening air, with voices vibrating in hopeful unison, Jake knew one thing for sure, tonight would change everything one way or another. Would their voices be enough to save this community, or would the truth of who he really was come crashing down, leaving him alone in the end? The drive to the funding board felt long and heavy, even though the distance was short. Jake's hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white. He stole a glance at Maria. Her quiet confidence steadied him, but doubts swirled like the autumn leaves outside. The sun was sinking low, casting a golden hue that felt too stark against his inner turmoil. Just remember, Maria said, breaking the silence, this is about the kids. It's about them. Her voice sliced through his anxiety, grounding him for a moment. Yeah, the kids, he echoed, his smile tight. But inside, the pulse of fear thumped louder. What if they didn't understand? What if they looked at him and only saw wealth? He stole another glance at Maria, her silhouette framing the warmth of determination. She was right. If he could just focus on the stories, the raw truth of their lives, it would help push his nerves aside. As he parked, his heart raced. The building stood before him, expansive and imposing. This is it, he muttered, more to himself than to her. They stepped out of the car together, moving toward the entrance. Jake felt a strange mix of dread and exhilaration battle within him. What lay ahead could shape their community's future. Remember what we talked about. Your story matters, Maria urged, keeping stride beside him. Jake nodded, but he thought back to the quickened whispers of his life, the unyielding walls built around his wealth and success. Hiding behind the facade felt more daunting than he had imagined. Inside the building, the air was sterile and cold. A receptionist greeted them with a polite smile, directing them to the meeting room. Each step felt like a countdown, echoing the urgency of their mission. As they approached the door, Jake felt the weight of the world shift onto his shoulders. They stepped inside, and a long conference table dominated the room. At the head, 5 faces awaited, lined up with summations of authority and indifference. Jake quietly took a seat, and Maria chose one nearby, radiating a confidence he needed to draw from. "Thank you for coming," the board chair began, flipping through papers with casual detachment. "I trust you understand the gravity of this situation." Jake's pulse quickened. He needed to make this personal. "We do," he interjected, the words spilling out before he could lose his nerve. "This center is not just a space. It's a sanctuary for our families. It's a community that unites us, that raises our children together." As he spoke, he glanced around the table, watching the board members' cool expressions. He pressed on, pouring his heart into every word. "A place where my kids learn to believe in themselves, where they found mentors and friends." The board shifted slightly, a flicker of recognition sparked in their eyes, but Jake didn't stop. "This is not just about money. It's about futures, hopes, dreams. It's about that spark in a child's eye when they discover something new." Maria caught his gaze, nodding subtly, urging him to continue. "You don't see these kids as numbers on a page, do you? Their lives ready to bloom." The room fell silent, and for a moment, Jake allowed himself to breathe. He could see small cracks forming in the board's hardened expressions as others joined him, sharing heartfelt stories like Mr. Thompson and the mother who had found her voice. But just as the tide seemed to shift, a board member leaned forward, eyebrows raised skeptically. "All of this is commendable, but funding is rapidly decreasing. It's a difficult decision. What makes this community center stand out compared to others?" Jake's heart sank, and a lump formed in his throat. "It's the people," he replied, desperation seeping into his words. "Without this center, we lose more than just a building, we lose our family ties, our community. We become just another statistic." But deep down, the question echoed back, how much would he reveal? Did they truly care, or were they just checking boxes? What if they discovered the truth about him before he was ready? The atmosphere thickened, and Jake felt the familiar wave of uncertainty. Did he have what it took to protect this place? Could he really be a part of this family? Before he could ponder further, Maria shot him an encouraging smile. The weight of his identity loomed overhead, but as the board members engaged with the passionate crowd of supporters, something shifted inside him. Jake realized the truth. Revealing his identity was no longer the concern. It was the strength of their voices that mattered. They were fighting for each other, and he would stand with them, and as the discussion continued, uncertainty clung to the edge of his thoughts. Would he step out from the shadows of his wealth, or hide away, letting community voices lead the charge onward? Jake's words hung in the air, the silence pressing down like a heavy fog. The board members exchanged glances, their expressions hinting at an internal struggle. Maria leaned forward, sensing the moment's weight and ready to lift it with another story, but Jake felt a stirring within him. Could he truly let those stories shine if he stayed shrouded in his own secrets? "You mentioned the people," the board chair said, her voice breaking the quiet tension. "But what are you willing to do to ensure this center remains?" Jake's heart raced. This was the moment. This was his chance to bridge the gap between his world and theirs. "I'll do whatever it takes," he declared, feeling a spark ignite within him. "I'll bring in volunteers, I'll host fundraisers, whatever it takes to keep our families together." The room murmured with approval, and a wave of hope surged through him. He felt a shift, a connection he hadn't felt moments ago. They weren't just board members on the other side of the table anymore. They were potential allies, people who could make a difference for those he cared about, but still, that nagging fear lingered. What if they scratched the surface? What if they uncovered the truth about his life of privilege? Would they still support him, or would they turn away, seeing him as just another wealthy guy trying to play savior? Maria caught his eye again, her unwavering encouragement fueled his resolve. "I grew up in this community," he began, the words flowing more freely now. "I didn't have a lot, but I had this place. I had mentors who believed in me, who helped shape my life. That is invaluable." One of the board members shifted, leaning forward. "But Jake, you still have resources they don't. How can we trust that this isn't just a way for you to alleviate guilt? Those words pierced through him. Trust a fragile thing, easily broken. I didn't come here to ease my conscience, Jake shot back, his voice steadying. I'm here because I believe in this center, in our community. I want to make a difference, not just for the kids, but for the families, for their futures. Several board members glanced at one another, their expressions shifting from skepticism to curiosity. It was a chance to connect, he could feel it. If this center closes, where do those kids go? He continued, his voice rising with urgency. They lose their home base. They lose hope. And I refuse to let that happen. The tension in the room began to thaw. He was sharing himself, exposing his passion, and in return, he was meeting eyes that held the weight of responsibility. All right, the board chair said, her tone softening. We want to hear more than just an inspiring story. We want action. Can you rally the community? Make real changes? Jake nodded, feeling lighter even as his heart pounded. Yes. We'll host community days, open forums, anything to get voices heard. It's about collaboration, about strength in numbers. Strength in numbers, echoed Maria, her fierce spirit boosting his confidence even further. As their discussions continued, ideas flowed between them like a river eager to escape barriers. Jake began outlining plans, outreach programs, partnerships with local businesses, mentoring workshops. The more he spoke, the more energized he felt, almost as if he were shedding the weight of his secrets, but there, just below the surface, the fear still bubbled. Could he maintain this newfound hope without revealing his truth? As they sketched out plans, Jake realized the battle wasn't just for the funding, it was for his very identity. With the meeting hours deepening, Jake could hear laughter and voices from the gathering in the hallway, the community spirit blooming outside the stark conference room walls. But what would happen when they returned to that reality? Would he be able to step into the light, or would he retreat again? The clock ticked loudly as eyes settled on him, anticipation hanging thick. What would he choose in this pivotal moment? Would Jake rise as a guardian for his true community, or would his fear drag him back into the shadows? Something had to change. He could feel it in his bones. And for the first time, the fear of revelation began to feel like a push toward liberation. As murmurs of plans continued circling the room, Jake took a deep breath. Could he summon the courage to unveil his truth? Would he step forward both as the proud father seeking to champion a community and as the man he was afraid to face? With his heart pounding with uncertain resolve, Jake knew the moment was approaching. The stories were stirring, but his own was still silenced. What would that reveal mean for everyone involved, including him? Jake took another deep breath, the weight of the moment settling firmly on his shoulders. The board members were watching him intently, their expressions a mix of hope and skepticism. He could feel the pulse of the room, a tangible energy that thrummed beneath the surface. This was it. He had to decide whether to stand tall in the light or shrink back into the shadows. Jake, the board chair prompted gently, pulling him back from his thoughts. You seem passionate about this. But what does that really look like? We need action plans. Steps. Real commitments. What she was asking felt monumental, like standing on a cliff looking down into an unknown abyss. I can create a committee, he said, his voice gaining strength. Get people involved who know the community, too. We'll make decisions together. Work together. Are you ready to put in your own time? Another board member asked, her tone probing. People need to see commitment, not just promises. Absolutely, Jake replied, feeling the fire igniting within him. Words were one thing, but action was where the real change took place. I'll show up. Volunteer at events. Meet with families. Share ideas and let them share theirs. He could picture it, the energy of the kids running around the center, laughter bumping up against the walls, the scent of warm food wafting through the air as parents shared their stories and struggles. Every response stoked the flame of hope, lifting him higher. Let us also bring in guest speakers. Community leaders who can inspire us. Share their success stories, he added, glancing at Maria. Her nod encouraged him further. We can create a newsletter, keep people informed and engaged. We can build this. He was surprised at how easily the ideas flowed. It was as if a dam had broken, unleashing everything he had bottled up. For a moment, he didn't feel the weight of his past. He felt sure of himself, and that was freeing, yet, lurking behind that liberating energy was the ever-present shadow of his identity. Each initiative he suggested felt like another step closer to both success and exposure. What if they discovered who he truly was? How would they react once they learned of his privilege, his wealth, and the life he led apart from theirs? But that hesitation crumbled a little under his growing clarity. I need you all to understand that this isn't just about me trying to be a savior. I need to learn from you, he said, voice firm. I want to stand alongside you all, shoulder to shoulder. Then you are making a pledge, the chair replied, a spark lighting her eyes. A commitment to walk with us? Yes. The word slipped from his lips, powerful and heavy in the air. I'll be here, every step of the way. As they moved into discussions about next steps and timelines, Jake felt a renewed sense of purpose. The walls of the conference room, once a symbol of barrenness, felt more welcoming, vibrant with possibility. He could almost see the children's faces lighting up in enthusiasm. Yet beneath the surface, a knot tightened around his heart. What about your truth? The nagging voice in his head wouldn't relent. Would this newfound commitment unravel his facade? Would unraveling it bring more pain than healing? Minutes later, when the meeting finally adjourned, Jake stepped outside into the bustling atmosphere of the center surrounding him. Laughter rang through the air, the warm sun illuminating the faces of families coming together. There was life here, joy and community spirit that pulled on his heartstrings. Jake! Maria called, interrupting his spiraling thoughts. Great job in there. You really connected. Thanks, he replied, but the heaviness lingered. Do you ever wonder if we're enough? If we can really change things? Change doesn't come easy, she said, her gaze unwavering. But you're already making a difference. People need hope, Jake. You give them that. Hope, what a sturdy word. But the whispering fear was relentless. Could he continue this path without revealing who he truly was? As families mingled around the center, he felt as if they were all dancing on the edge of a brilliant existence. What was his purpose here? To stand in the light, or hide behind the shadows of privilege? In the midst of that uncertainty, one question haunted him: would he take the leap, or remain tethered to the past? A choice loomed on the horizon, and the unfolding of his truth felt inevitable. With the sun setting, painting golden hues across everything, Jake turned to the center, eyes filled with determination and doubts swirling inside. He knew deep down that change was coming, but at what cost? Jake stood at the entrance, the warmth of the setting sun wrapping around him like a comforting blanket. He couldn't shake off the tension gnawing at his insides. With each face he saw the laughter of children, the smiles of the parents. It felt like he was staring at a mirror reflecting a life he wanted to be part of, yet didn't feel he deserved. Ready for your first volunteer shift? Maria's voice interrupted his spiraling thoughts. Her eyes sparkled with excitement and a dash of mischief. Right, I forgot I signed up, Jake said, forcing a grin. What's on the list? Today's Fun Day Friday. We're going to set up for a movie night. It'll be chaotic, but in the best way possible. She looked at him expectantly, clearly eager to dive into the hustle. Jake nodded, his heart lifting a little. Helping out rather than just meeting in a sterile boardroom felt so different. He followed her through the center, passing vibrant artwork created by the kids, each piece filled with dreams and colors. The walls embraced him, almost whispering to let go of the turmoil swirling within. As they entered the main hall, he faced a whirlwind of families. Kids scuttled past him, giggling and chattering. He caught sight of a little girl with messy braids, her hands covered in colorful paint. A rush of warmth filled his heart. He could finally be part of this energy, of something genuine. "Jake!" Maria called him back. She was holding up a large stack of chairs. "Help me with these." "Of course." He yanked himself from his reverie, steeling himself to join in. As he arranged the chairs, a boy approached him, curious eyes nestled in a round face. "Are you new here?" Jake crouched down to his level. "Just trying to help out a bit today." "Cool. Do you know the popcorn recipe?" "It's the best part." The boy's enthusiasm was contagious. "Not yet, but I'm willing to learn. Do you think I can help?" "Yeah. Come on, I'll show you the secret," the boy beamed, grabbing Jake's hand and pulling him toward the kitchen. Jake could hardly believe how easy it was to connect. They whipped up popcorn in giant bowls, and Jake dove into the messiness of it all. The boy's laughter echoed as they tried to toss kernels from bowl to bowl, some landing on the floor. Each moment pulled Jake deeper, like a tide sweeping him into a place of acceptance. Soon the hall began to fill up, families coming in droves. Conversations buzzed around him, an undertone of warmth wrapping every interaction in a crucial layer of community. Yet, as Jake looked at the faces around him happy, full of life, his heart constricted. He wasn't just Jake the volunteer. He was Jake the millionaire. A man who lived in a world of privilege, and yet here he was, pretending to be more than he was. His laughter faltered. "Are you okay?" The boy's candid concern pulled him from his thoughts. "Just thinking," Jake replied, forcing a smile. "Thinking is okay," the boy said, full of wisdom beyond his years. "But you should enjoy the popcorn." At that moment, Jake realized he wasn't thinking about the popcorn. He was thinking about revelations, about honesty, about the weight of secrets. The deeper he fell into this community, the greater the urge to reveal himself tugged at him. The movie lights dimmed, pulling everyone's attention forward. A wave of excitement rippled through the air. Giggling children scrambled to find their seats, and the aroma of freshly popped popcorn filled the room. Jake watched, heart pounding, as smiles spread across faces. Could he still be a part of this magic? Or would his truth mar the joy unfolding in front of him? As the film flickered to life, Jake took a deep breath. Change was right in front of him, and yet he stood at a crossroads. Would he dare to step into the light or hide behind the shadows? With flickers of bright images dancing across the wall and families gathering closely, a decisive moment hovered just out of reach. Jake felt the weight of the future pressing down. Would he finally break free from the constraints of his privilege or retreat back to the life he knew? As the sound of laughter echoed around him, he wondered, what would it cost him, and what would he gain if he took that leap? Jake sat in the back of the bustling hall, the flickering images from the movie casting soft shadows across his face. Laughter danced in the air, weaving between snatches of dialogue from animated characters and the bubbling energy of children. But the joy, the community spirit that surrounded him, felt like a concrete wall dividing him from true connection. He glanced around. Families snuggled together on folding chairs, their fingers sticky with popcorn grease, their eyes bright with animated wonder. The little boy, Danny, was right. He should be watching and enjoying. Yet, the laughter felt distant, a melody playing just out of reach, each chuckle amplifying the hollowness inside him. Was this the life he wanted, to be entangled in these moments yet remain a ghost? The real Jake was lurking below the surface, terrified and reluctant to break the facade he'd built over the years. As he placed a piece of popcorn in his mouth, he could almost taste freedom, but even that morsel felt tainted with guilt. His wandering thoughts were interrupted when Maria slid into the seat next to him, eyes sparkling with excitement. "Isn't it great? They love it. Just look at those grins." Jake nodded, trying to mirror her enthusiasm. "Yeah, it's amazing." Maria leaned in closer, lowering her voice. "I really think you're fitting in here, Jake. It's different, right?" Jake opened his mouth but found his throat dry. A knot formed in his stomach. He wanted to confess how he felt like a fraud, like he was wearing a mask. Instead, he forced a smile. Definitely different. I wasn't sure what to expect. Just wait until the first dance party after the movie. The kids go wild. Her laughter was infectious, and for a moment, Jake allowed himself to bask in the joy reflected in her eyes. As the credits rolled and applause erupted, Jake felt something shift inside him. Maybe he could share a piece of himself here, a spark of who he truly was. But the idea was like a tightrope walk over an abyss. If he stumbled, what would happen to the bonds he was starting to form? Would they be severed by the truth of his past? Come on, let us help with cleanup. Maria exclaimed, her enthusiasm contagious. Jake stood, his heart racing. The energy of the community was swelling, pulling him into action. Together, they started gathering trash and cleaning up popcorn containers, sharing banter with other volunteers. The air buzzed with laughter as the kids chased each other around, refusing to accept that the fun had to end. With each piece of garbage, Jake felt a little more grounded. But as the last remnants of the gathering dwindled, a heavy silence settled in. Conversations turned into soft goodbyes, families drifting toward the exits. Jake watched as Danny's parents scooped him up, their affection palpable. It struck him how comforted the boy felt, so enveloped in love. Jake's heart ached with longing. He wanted to feel that connection, to know what it meant to belong. The weight of thoughts threatened to drown out the sounds of the lingering laughter and joyful chaos around him. Suddenly, Maria leaned in closer, concern etched across her face. "You've been so quiet tonight. Are you all right?" Jake took a breath, feeling vulnerable under her scrutiny. I don't know if I can be a part of this. It feels too good to be true." "Why would you think that?" Maria asked gently. "Because I'm not like you," Jake confessed, his words tumbling out before he could stop them. "I come from a different world." The air grew thick with tension. "What do you mean?" Maria's eyes searched his for the truth. Jake hesitated, heart pounding. Could he share his reality without unraveling this tender bond? The room, once vibrant and full of life, suddenly felt constricting, like a noose tightening around his throat. "Jake." Maria's gentle prodding was like a lifeline, urging him to leap from his fortress of silence. Would he finally reveal the man behind the millionaire facade? Or retreat, erasing the possibility of real intimacy? The choice stood before him, stark and heavy. Would he break free and step into the light, his real light, or stay cloaked in shadows? Just then, a figure appeared at the door, a newcomer glancing around nervously. It was a woman, her face etched with uncertainty. A chill crept down Jake's spine as he recognized the undeniable spark in her eyes. Something deep inside him whispered she might hold the key to everything he had been searching for. Could she be the connection he desperately craved? Jake's heart raced as he stared at the newcomer, an instinctive pull drawing him toward her. There was something in her eyes that hinted at familiarity, perhaps even understanding. Her presence felt electric, a contrast to the weight gnawing at him. "Maria," he whispered, his voice barely making it past his lips as he leaned closer to his friend. "Who is she?" Maria turned to see the woman Jake was pointing at. "Oh, that's Leah. She just moved to town a few weeks ago. I think she's getting involved with the community. But I've only seen her a couple of times." Jake nodded, his gaze never leaving Leah. She fidgeted with the hem of her jacket, as if trying to merge into the shadows. There was a hesitance about her that resonated with his own. "Come on, let us invite her over." Maria beamed, bounding toward Leah with the enthusiasm of a child. Jake followed, his pulse pounding in his ears. "Hey there. I'm Maria, and this is Jake." Maria's voice was bright, drawing Leah's shy smile. "We just finished a movie night. You should join us next time." "Thanks, I'd like that," Leah replied, her eyes flitting toward Jake before dropping back to the ground. Her sweetness tugged at something deep within him. Jake cleared his throat, his chants slipping through his fingers like sand. I remember seeing you at the park," he stammered, his palms sweaty. Your son, no, not about a son. Not yet. Your child seemed to love the playground. A shadow crossed Leah's face, her smile faltering. Yes, Danny loves it. It's been hard since we lost. She inhaled deeply, taking a moment to compose herself. But we're getting there. His heart ached for her. He could feel her pain resonate within him. I know how that feels, he said quietly, the weight of his own secrets pressing against his chest. Maria interjected, we all come together here, you know. It's a family. You're welcome to join us anytime. Leah nodded, a flicker of hope lighting her features. Jake felt an unusual urge to protect that flicker, to see it grow brighter. As they chatted, Jake found himself drawn into Leah's story, her trials, and resilience. It was refreshing. Here was someone who understood loss and loneliness. Someone who, like him, seemed to be fighting to carve out a place in the world. But with each shared moment, a churning unease knotted in his stomach. He was wearing a mask, and with every laugh, every moment of connection, he was terrified that he would slip up. If he revealed who he truly was, would she see him as he saw her? A chance at something real? Or would he become the ghost again? Jake caught Maria glancing at him, her brows raised as if she sensed his inner turmoil. He forced a smile, a half-hearted facade wrapped around growing anxiety. I really do hope we can all be friends, Leah said. The earnestness in her tone tugged at something deep within him, a bittersweet desire to be close to someone, to let down his guard. Before he could respond, a child's laughter cut through the air, a joyful noise that danced around them. Behind him, Danny was hopping about, a whirlwind of pure happiness. The sight sent warmth blooming in Jake's chest, yet also sharpened his longing for a connection he had almost forgotten. Leah's eyes followed Danny, a wistful smile transforming her face. A knot tightened in Jake's throat. Could he ever reveal his truth to Leah without destroying this fragile bond? Did he risk it all for the possibility of love, softness, and the chance of belonging? As the night faded, the group began to disperse. Leah started to drift toward the exit, her hesitant footsteps soft but heavy. Wait. Jake found himself calling out, his heart pounding against his ribs. Would you want to get coffee sometime? Leah turned, surprise and hope mingling in her eyes. I'd like that. Jake felt a spark of possibility, a flicker of light in the darkness of his doubts. But as Leah walked away, a shadow of uncertainty crept over him. Could she ever truly be a part of his life? He glanced back at Maria, her eyes bright with excitement. You made a connection. She exclaimed. Did I? Jake asked. Doubt creeping back in, the night stretched before him, filled with questions and choices. He had taken a step forward, but was he ready for what lay ahead? Just then, Maria's phone rang, shattering the moment. She answered, her expression quickly shifting from eager to intense. What? Are you serious? Jake's heart sank. Whatever news was coming, it threatened the fragile hope he had just begun to build. Who is it? He asked, but Maria's brow was furrowed, her voice low and urgent. I have to go. It's about Leah. Jake's chest tightened. What could it possibly mean? Would this change everything? With a feeling of impending dread, he braced himself for the revelations yet to come. Jake's heart raced as he watched the emotions flicker across Maria's face. Leah had just been an unexpected light in his shaded world. A connection blooming, a possibility to belong. Was it now about to shatter? What has happened? Jake couldn't contain his urgency. Leah's in trouble, Maria whispered, her voice tight. Her kids are at risk of being taken away. She's overwhelmed, and they might be getting involved. Social services. Her kids. Panic surged through him. He couldn't bear the thought of her losing what bonded them, what they both cherished. Deep down, he felt an instinct, almost a calling to help. Jake, we need to be there for her, Maria urged, grabbing his hand, urgency flickering in her eyes. We need to fight for her family. Together, they raced toward Leah's apartment, the evening air chill against their skin. Jake felt a weight settle over him, the awareness of being a millionaire carrying the burden of privilege. Would revealing his identity now be a help or hindrance? When they arrived, the scene was chaotic. Leah was on the phone, her voice trembled, and the kids flitted around her, uncertainty shadowing their brows. Jake could see her fear rippling. "Leah!" Maria called out, rushing to her side. "We're here. We want to help." Leah looked up, her eyes wide and glistening. "I don't know what to do. They say I'm not providing enough for my kids. I'm trying." Jake's heart cracked open at the sight of her worry. "Leah, you're doing everything you can. You're strong, you've built this life for them. You have us now." "Us?" she echoed, her voice thick with confusion. "I am not sure what you can do. The system, it feels insurmountable." "No, it's not," Maria interjected firmly. "Together, we can stand up to this. We'll gather the community. We'll show them how important your family is." Jake, feeling the fire ignite within him, looked Leah straight in the eye. "I'll help with resources, fundraising, anything you need. You're not alone in this." The words tumbled out before he could hesitate. For the first time, he didn't feel the shadows of his wealth holding him back. He felt a part of something bigger than himself. Leah's gaze flickered, hope mixing with desperation. "What if they take them away? Can you promise me this won't just be temporary help?" Jake took a deep breath. "I promise, Leah. We'll fight with everything we have." As they began to brainstorm strategies, ideas flowed, conversations ignited hope. Hours melted away, and they plotted how to gather signatures, how to involve others from the community center, and how to set up support systems. With each moment, Jake hesitated less about revealing who he truly was. The walls of his fortress began to crumble under the weight of his own desire to be real, to be involved, to genuinely help. Finally, as the sun began to rise, they felt the shift. Jake took a leap. A brief moment of courage propelled him forward. "I need to be honest. I'm not just anyone. I am a millionaire. I can help with funding. I want to support this community and Leah's family fully." The room fell silent. Leah's eyes, once filled with anxiety, softened with a glimmer of understanding, realization. "You?" "Yes. I know it might change things. But this isn't about putting a band-aid on a wound. It's about forming a family, together." Maria nodded alongside him. "This is about real connections. Healing real families. We're all in this together." Tears pooled in Leah's eyes, but they weren't tears of despair. "Thank you. Her voice broke. I've felt so isolated. You don't know what this means." Suddenly, something clicked inside Jake. Seeing Leah's gratitude, seeing her take a deep breath and exhale the fear clouding her heart, he felt free. He embraced the transformation. Together, they mobilized. Within days, they set up a fundraiser at the community center, gathering voices, rallying support. Jake's wealth became a tool for change, helping people reclaim the power of unity and love. Weeks later, as the support surged, Leah stood beside him at the event, surrounded by families. Her children laughed, their faces beaming. Safety restored. "Jake." Leah's voice pulled him from his thoughts. "You found your place in this community. You're as much a part of us as anyone here." Jake smiled, heart swelling. "And I wouldn't change a thing. I was lost without this." He looked at Maria, her eyes bright, and then back to Leah. Together they formed an unbreakable bond, a community fueled by love. Paul beside them, the stories of struggle now stories of triumph. They had transformed from shadows to a vibrant tapestry of hope. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with deep oranges and purples, Jake realized he was home. This was the family he had always longed for, not defined by wealth, but by love, connection, and the promise of brighter tomorrows. and right then, he knew. Life was meant to be shared. This was just the beginning. Before you go, make sure to act immediately. Subscribe now to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories that can change lives. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and show your support. We need to shine together. Tell us how you felt about the ending in the comments. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who could use a dose of transformation and hope in their lives. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us grow this community.